Welcome, everybody. Midlife Gaming Podcast, episode 16, special edition, because we got a happy little birthday boy in our midst. It's Steve's birthday. Happy birthday to Steve and everybody else. If it's your birthday, everybody else, happy birthday to y'all as well.
Thank you, Archie. I appreciate it.
Anytime. How's it been going, Steve? How are you spending your birthday?
Just relaxing, man. I've had so my daughter's birthday was Friday, so I've had I'll have Friday through Wednesday off. So just taking it all in, relaxing, catching up on some gaming.
Nice. Well, I'm sure we'll get to some of that gaming a little bit later today. So for the news, we have betting on a PS5, Mass Effect, legendary news, something related to some leaks with the Division Heartland, and Starfield release date was possibly leaked. Who knows? We'll get into that. So we'll just go ahead and get started. Up first is Sony files patent for betting service that could accept Bitcoin or in-game items. As it is described by PatentScope, the patent itself suggests a system where viewers of live-streamed esports events, such as fighting game tournaments, would be able to bet on the outcome of matches while watching the action play out in real time. The system would work via a user interface overlay that could be brought up over the stream in order for the user to place their bets. It also went into a little bit further detail about it could be real world money or in-game currency, depending on whatever factors they saw fit. So how do you feel about this one, Steve?
Horribly. It's just any type of gambling type service, anything that even deals with that should just be separated as far as possible away from gaming, just because it is a gateway thing. It's one of those things
Right.
for kids. It takes advantage. Like some people just have impulsive, tendencies. They have like these genes that just cause them to get into that kind of stuff. The fear of missing out, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's just a bad move. Like I understand why they're doing it. At the end of the day, Sony is a business, and this is obviously a direction that we've seen other companies go when it comes to loot boxes. So it kind of makes sense for the Sony as a publisher themselves to go ahead and implement it into the actual OS. But yeah, it's not something I think is needs to come to gaming. Like there's no benefit for this for gamers at all that I can think of.
I agree. And I think that this is one of those things where, because if this went through, this would be a real curveball from Sony. Like this is not, I know that they just recently bought out the Evo, the sports tournament system, not system, but whole, I don't know, league, I guess is what you would call it. You would assume it is similar to, but I think the more realistic outcome of this is they patented this so that no one else could type of setup. They intentionally said, hey, this is ours. This is our mind. Our thoughts went into this. You don't have any rights to it unless we say you do. And then they just kind of sit on the patent. The thing is, I don't know too much about patents, so I don't know how effective that can be to just patent it. And if you have to actually demonstrate willingness to do it. So I don't know how that would work out. I hope it's that, because I'm on the same page as you. I don't foresee this working out very well for the gamers themselves. It's just going to open up another portal to addiction, and it's not going to be a good outcome, I would think.
Yeah, Geo brought up a good point in chat. I think it's Geo Solo is how that's pronounced. But anyway, they said that it's nice to make Bitcoin and gaming as a profession more legitimate. Betting itself is a level of adult gaming that's about as ancient as all history, which is true. And there is a way in a ideal world where Sony could do this and is locked behind like some 18 plus authentication type filter, like you have to upload your driver's license or something like that to get access to it. Like that I would be okay with. Like if they were, hey, there's the PlayStation Casino now, and like it's an online form of gaming, online gaming where people can do that adult type gaming. That brings in some of that other audience that likes, online poker and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can bring them in a way where those communities kind of combine. That's something I've seen recently with being a flight sim, fan. Like there's a lot of older gamers that just don't play like the Call of Duties and such
Right.
that we think about, but they play, these sim games where they do go out and gamble. So that is a good point, Gio. There is a way that Sony could do it where it doesn't impact their core gaming business, but the fear that I have is just that this would be something that, developers, Sony makes it available in the OS and then the individual developers exploit it for just any and everything they could think of. Like, oh, hey, I know you wanted to buy this one loot chest, but how about you invest, X amount of Bitcoin instead and you get a chance to possibly win this much. Like it's just kind of gets shady at that point when you start if you're gonna market it to children and such. But
Yeah, and I agree. But Sony would definitely have to go through a ton of legal hurdles to get this through, because this is gambling. It is, I mean, there's no way to curve it around to make the wording seem more child friendly or anything. It's gambling. And a lot of states, it's still not legal to gamble. I know here in our state, there's very few reservation type areas where you can. But for the most part, you got to go out in international waters or find the gambling in another state, unless it's like the lottery. Um, so I don't know. It just seems like this would absolutely be one of those things where they were, the bunch of guys were sitting in a boardroom just chatting it up, just trying to find new ways of getting more money. Like, oh, what's after the loot boxes? Well, shit, let's just hardcore gamble. Like, why not? Why are we footing around it? And that's a scary future, because I kind of get it in like an esports area, but then I don't know. There's not a whole lot of protections for the esports players themselves. So, I mean, even now in real world sports, there is a ton of news across the globe. We don't really hear too much about it here in the States, but across the globe, you hear about it all the time where games are rigged because someone intentionally, played terrible for that match because they had a buddy who was side betting for them to lose or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I don't want it. Personally, I would much rather stick with my first idea of what Sony was going to do with this, which is just sit on it so no one can abuse it. But yeah, I know it's a business, so chances are it's going to come out. It's going to come out in a very terrible way.
yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
Because, I mean, how many people report their winnings on their taxes currently, much less whenever they're just like sitting in front of their PlayStation?
If they're smart, they better do it.
If they're smart, but we all know that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
happen a lot.
one thing I don't mess with is
Yo,
your
for sure.
taxes.
All right, so
Speaking of things that are taxing, how about how EA's been taxing for the re-release of the Mass Effect Legendary Edition? So, full
good.
$60 release, hit Steam, but has actually been the most successful BioWare game ever to hit Steam in terms of concurrent players. What are your thoughts on that?
I believe it. My wife has been playing it nonstop since launch day. She's already completed a full playthrough of 1 and 2, and
Oh,
I think
jeez.
she's either wrapping up a DLC in 2 or she's starting 3 right now. Um, so I mean, it's a diehard series. Uh, it's got a great narrative to it. It's very divisive on whether or not it should have ended. And I think we already did report a couple episodes back on where they have confirmed that there is another story that they're going to do inside the Shepherd universe timeline or whatever they want to call it. So, I mean, I believe it. It's not that it's up to belief; it's a fact. It's happening. There's nothing to believe, but I'm in support of it. I think that this falls in that same train of thought that we talked about last week, which is you have to vote with your wallet. And BioWare has been getting a lot of flack lately. They canceled Anthem outright. We're never going to see another Anthem. Andromeda did not do great, even though I kind of enjoyed Andromeda. I enjoyed it for what it could have been, and it's never going to be that because they've given up on it for now, at least. So I think that this proves that their player base wants that original thought process back. They want to see ME1 and ME2 style games again. ME3 was I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. ME2 was for sure my favorite out of the series. But you gotta vote with your wallet. It's the only way these people really understand it. These developers and things like that. It's I don't know. I don't know what else to say on this one. It's good. I appreciate them coming out with this because I've watched her play it on the Series X Xbox, and it's smooth. The load times are gone basically. She actually made a joke that she can't even read the little player tips anymore because it's just like load screen gone. We're back in the next page. So I appreciate what they did here, and I'm in full support of it. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to add. Obviously, Mass Effect. I want to say I go back and forth between Mass Effect and Metal Gear Solid, but Mass Effect is probably hands down my favorite game franchise of all time. So glad to see this be re-released. I talked a couple episodes back about why I personally just won't be replaying it, which is I just had a perfect experience the first time around, and I don't want to go back through try to remember every decision I made and all that kind of stuff. But happy for what it brings. Obviously, some of those concurrent players are going to be nostalgic folks who
Mm-hmm.
just want to go through it again, but there's probably a whole nother generation of people picking it up for the first time, and for that I'm pretty happy because it is a great series, and I think that that whole model that a raising tide kind of raises all boats.
Right.
Hopefully, if this is successful, people kind of see like, oh man, this is what RPGs used to be like. Like they aren't, there's nothing wrong with the action adventure kind of genre that they've turned into more these days. When you think of like Assassin's Creed and all, but
Right.
Mass Effect and BioWare, at its prime, those were like the top tier RPGs when it came to storytelling. So, yeah, would just love to. I mean, it's already successful, and hopefully, we already know we're getting another entry in the Shepherd universe, so this will
Yep.
just make people more enthusiastic for that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's a smart move by EA. Good for them. They've been doing well.
absolutely. And I hope that this really kind of puts wind back in BioWare's sails. Um, both, verbal sales and actual sale money count. Because I mean, Knights of the Old Republic slapped. Like that was an original Xbox title, right? And a PC title, and that game was so far ahead of its time. And then they lost the Star Wars license, which is how we ended up getting Mass Effect on the 360. And they proved that they could step away from a well built out universe and flesh out their own. And this is just icing on the cake for them, and they deserve it. I like that this is being fully supported by the Mass Effect community. That's all
Yeah.
I got to say about that.
Yeah, definitely ahead of his time. Very similar to this leaked footage from Division Heartland that was way ahead of its time in terms of what I think Ubisoft was looking for, kind of bringing the cat out of the bag with that.
Yeah, especially
I
since they've
sent
been pulling the videos left and right
you,
from everywhere.
Yeah, you're right about that. So I sent you a link a couple days ago. It might have even been yesterday, but I sent you a link about 20 minutes of gameplay footage leaked online, and we kind of have confirmation now that this is going to be a free to play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say free to play, but it's going to be a open world survival 45 player multiplayer experience, and kind of that's how I feel right there. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Because
Yeah.
looking at this, and yeah, I know they're not talking about the gameplay itself, but man, looking at this, it was the most bland gameplay I've seen in a long time. And I know some of that is just because it was unfinished textures, unfinished
Right.
models, things of that sort. But even just the core gameplay experience, it doesn't look that much different from Division to me. Like it is, it's more of resource gathering now. It's like, oh, you're resource gathering against 45 other people, and you've still got the, kind of the dark zone like mechanics, and you've got the PvE encounters with the, what do you call them usually? The not goons, but whatever. You've got like your
Yeah,
little grunts and stuff running around the map. So I mean, a lot of it just looks like more Division, which, I not to say I don't want more Division. I just don't want more of the same division. Like, I really think they need to go back to the drawing board and kind of rethink what their next big gameplay loop is going to be. It shouldn't be battle royale. That's been done to death now at this point. And there's only like 5 or 6 major games, but the genre itself has obviously hit its peak a couple years ago, Fortnite, and it's going down now. I
right.
want to see Division. I think they need to center their gameplay more around like that whole base building type thing. Like I think that's really where they should go. Like that's where Division feels the best is when like kind of like Valheim, when you all are working towards
A
building
big
up
goal.
something. Yeah, like that's I mean, because you're living in this post-apocalyptic world, everything's going to hell. Like resources are minimal and all that. Like make it feel that way, and the way to do that is create tension by making it so that when you guys go out is for stuff that you really need. Like you really feel that in Valheim when it's like, man, we want to build up the rest of XYZ structure, but we got to go out and collect all this, and the best way to collect it is go to this dangerous area. So let's make sure that we can get as much of it as we can while we're out there. Like I love doing that with you guys when we were doing like our hunting expeditions.
Yeah,
Whereas in Division, it's nothing. It's like, okay, you're going out and you're shooting fish in a barrel. Like you're gonna go out, you're gonna find people, and the gameplay loop there is just, oh, I want a different color weapon with a higher number, or a different color armor with a
right.
higher number. So
I need that that yellow gun, that legendary.
yeah,
I think it
Geo
would
in
be
chat asked,
interesting.
have
Go ahead.
we? Sorry, Geo in chat asked if we've ever played Star Siege Tribes. I have never even heard of Star Siege Tribes.
Me neither.
We'll come. Yeah, we'll circle back to this one when we get to on our radar.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that.
Um. So yeah, I think they do have to kind of change up the narrative, or not the narrative, the formula a little bit on Division. I think this is a attempt at it. I've seen where it's been described. I haven't seen the videos myself because every time I find a link that supposedly is working, it gets pulled. Um, but it's been described as kind of like larger dark zone, and that was my favorite part about Division 1. Division 2 didn't really lean into the dark zone as much as Division 1 did. Kind of did more narrative stuff, but that was kind of like the core of the game, is that intensity of like finding randos out there and you teaming up together to take down that one rogue person that's just like, being a jerk out there trying to steal everybody's stuff. It's that emergent gameplay that we talk about sometimes. And I think that you are onto something good with this, base building situation, because there is always some type of base of operations in these Division games. And it would be kind of cool if every single structure had the option be taken over by like a group of friends or something, of actual player characters, and then you work together to build up that building in whatever way and have an actual base building system, not just like, oh, you achieved this level of whateverness, here you get stairs to the second floor, that type of thing. Like I want to customize out my outpost. And I don't think we're gonna get that here, but it's still early. This is a closed off beta, so this is not an invite beta or anything like that. It is, they know exactly who's getting this, and they're all signing papers to get it. So the fact that we got anything this early is kind of a treat, I guess, of sorts.
Yeah,
Kind of Geo, more like Ark, Survival Evolved, um, except with more guns and more modern, less dinosaurs. That's all on the Division, but we did get some news about, where is it? There it is. Starfield release date maybe 2/22/22. I don't know if that'll be accurate or not, but it does seem still like a very close date for Q1 of next year for this game that we've only got what I think it's this video right here, where it's just where it was just like a minute 10-second teaser of the logo. Um, was kind of all we got. Was that last year's E3 or
I
not
have no
E3
idea what
season?
either.
Maybe been 2
Yeah,
years
I feel
ago.
like it was a couple years ago. Whenever it was, yeah, we've talked a lot behind the scenes, you and me, about how I feel. I will not be anywhere even a inch of excited for this game until I see actual gameplay. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
want to say they announced a while back that it was just going to be on another version of the same like engine that Bethesda has been using forever for Skyrim and Fallout and everything, and that engine sucks, man. Like it needs a
So
major revamp.
it has been confirmed that it will be a new creation engine. But I don't know if I believe it because I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about Fallout 4, and that is just
Hey,
a
they changed.
heavily modified Fallout 3 engine.
Yeah, no, they actually I remember maybe it's coming down to semantics or something, but I
Right.
remember specifically when they showed like the new Elder Scrolls thing, like they showed the game not gameplay footage, but they showed some in-game footage of how it was, and I feel like they said it was an upgrade of the prior engine. Whatever it was, it didn't look substantially different.
Right.
I have no faith in Bethesda. Like I really don't. I'm very unenthusiastic about this until I can get it in my hands or until I can see some photos that shows us a complete departure from what the last Fallout was and Fallout 76 and all that. I have zero interest in this.
Well, remember, they're owned by Microsoft now. So,
Still zero interest still.
well, no,
There's
not
other
not for the
studios
interest, but
within.
for the accountability is there a little bit more because now it's not just they have to please the ZeniMax overlords. They have to also make sure that they put a product out that's good enough to be slapped with the Xbox exclusive title, which I'm pretty sure that's one of the current rumors right now. Again, it's all speculation. Uh, but that it would be, oh yeah, here's the teaser right here. There's minute 9 friggin' teaser of just space. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think the Xbox exclusivity means anything when it comes to development. Unfortunately, like it's a unfortunate thing and a good thing because a lot of the developers have said that Microsoft has been hands off, let them kind of do what they want. They're not putting deadlines and things on us. I think maybe for the first outing, they just let these guys do whatever they want. This was already in development anyway. Like there's not too much that they could probably come in and change at this point unless they want to do a major revamp. But it's just them. It's them as a studio and Ringo, I'm with you. Like there was
oh
a
yeah,
point
for sure.
where I was where Bethesda was one of my favorite studios, but it has been, kind of like Gio said, it's been a long, slow fall since Skyrim. And I wouldn't even say Skyrim. I'd give them probably Fallout 3 was the last straight up Bethesda game that I enjoyed. I like some of the other stuff from like Arcane Studios and all that under the banner. Like I think some of the other studios, Doom is doing great work. Prey's been great. Dishonored was great, but the core Bethesda stuff, the Fallout and what's the other one? Like Skyrim, they milk it to death.
Hmm.
I have no enthusiasm about this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that the new ownership and partnership with Microsoft will at least adjust how it's going to affect them. Like they're going to be hands off for sure at first, but then because Starfield, we were supposed to get something about Elder Scrolls 6 by now as well. So this could all be just wishful thinking, and this is all about the next Elder Scrolls title because Lord knows we are in dire need of a new Elder Scrolls title. Skyrim has been rendered to hell and back on so many different consoles. Started all the way back on the 360 and PS3 era, and now we've gotten don't we have a legend not a legendary, a special edition is what they call it. Re-release. It's on the Switch now. I'm waiting for it to show up on your cell phone. It's just going to be through Stadia now. They're just going to pump it on everything.
Yeah,
Um
no, real.
but it's I don't know. I'm interested to see like what this universe will be. It's obviously going to be like spacefaring. So it is kind of a breakaway from the more fantasy of Elder Scrolls and the more post-apocalyptic shenanigans of Fallout. But will it just be a reskinned? Because really, those two games are pretty similar in their narratives as well as in their play styles. Um, and I don't really want a third variant of that that formula. I'm okay with the two that we have right now. Would like to see improvements. I play Fallout 4 constantly. I'm constantly going back to Fallout 4, modding the heck out of it, and just playing it my way, sandboxing it basically at this point. So the community is there. The community is behind them. So they're gonna have to show up, or it's gonna look bad on both Bethesda and on Microsoft. And I don't think Microsoft is going to allow that to happen. Sure, they've been at their own throats sometimes, but they really do seem to be like pro gamer in this, you know, timeline so far. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to go into it like, oh, it's a Bethesda title. Why would I pay attention to it? But I do think that it's something that a lot of eyes are going to be paying attention to, for sure. Yes, Geo,
We
Skyrim is a decade old.
we shall see. But you know, Starfield is so far away. Let's talk about what's on our radar coming out a little more sooner. What do you got for us this week?
Absolutely. So before we leave is the title that I picked out for our radar, for my radar pick, and it is a interesting take on the sim kind of city builder, universe builder, world builder. There's no violence in it. There's no like, you see these hex tiles and I immediately think of Civilization, where it's all about fighting your way out or diplomatically doing whatever things you do. I always fight my way out in Civilization. It's just way easier. And there's no violence in this one. It's just like, here's your people, and build them up, get them up through these different eras of time, rediscover these different areas on this planet. That I like this art style too. This art style is really doing something for me. It's not just the hex tiles, but like the curvature of everything. And the point is to get off the planet. Get off the planet. The only real threat that I saw in a couple of videos is mentioning of space whales that come and just mess up the tiles that they fall over. So it seems to be a pretty chill, relaxing experience. And, you know, I'm about that right now. It's that time in life when you just got to have those chill, relaxing experiences. So what
Sounds
about?
good. Actually, I came across this one a little bit earlier as well. I think I added it to my wish list, but it won't be something I pick up immediately. But it looks like it'd be a fun little kind of a side game to play here and there.
Yeah, it's $15. It's on sale right now on Steam. And it is actually available. It's not a future release. It's got mostly positive reviews, probably because there's no combat system. But yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't give this one a try. It definitely looks like it's a fun time. Just to like hang out one day and just play it. What about
Yeah.
for you? What's on your radar,
So
Steve?
on the other end of the spectrum, I have a completely violent game where the only kind of gameplay loop is death and violence. But Sniper Ghost Warrior is a game I played in the past. This is a long going series. And the thing I've always liked about this is kind of, it reminds me a lot of like the Metal Gear Solid 5 game that I've recommended to you and Ryan for over 10 years now. But I like that it lets you, the way the Sniper series works is it gives you, this objective, which is usually, hey, kill this person at this location, kind of like Hitman. And then the world is completely open. It's not a complete open world game, but each scenario is, each instance is very open, and you can really approach this whatever way you want. If you can find a way to kill a person from 1,000 meters away, you can do that, and the mission is over. But a lot of times they'll put in all these other little things that or kind of help you along the way, make it a little bit more immersive. Like, hey, if you were going to really do this, you would want to take out these contacts over here and worry about all this kind of stuff. You can see from this gameplay how you're kind of scoping out the area, really making your game plan of how you'll approach the objective. So, I added this one to my wish list. It's not releasing yet. I want to say it's like a month or two away. But this is definitely one I'll pick up.
Yeah,
Maybe not
June
at full
4th.
price. Yeah, because tomorrow, and actually it might even be today. I think Days Gone unlocks today for play. So I'm gonna be playing that for the next couple of days. But After that, I think I will look into picking this one up again, because Hitman 3 I really wanted to play, but it's locked behind Epic Game Store exclusivity. So Sniper
Mm,
probably, I think a lot of people who love that Hitman DNA are probably going to do like me and probably pick this up in the meantime to kind of scratch that itch. But
to
yeah,
make up
this is
for
what's on my
the
radar
time
for
it's going to
this
be on
week.
exclusivity.
Yeah, who knows when it'll come back. Days Gone unlocks tonight at midnight. Perfect.
Good
Yeah, I know I
stuff
saw
then.
something earlier that said, yes, Squid, just like Sniper Elite. Yeah, Sniper Elite's crazy. It had the same what he's talking about in the or what they're talking about in the chat, where like if you shot someone in the cranium or something, like their
Hmm.
skull would actually explode. Like they modeled all that stuff very intensely.
Very intensely. Yeah, we had a scene
Very
come up
intensely.
later. I'll probably have to edit it out.
Yeah.
Uh, blur that out a little bit.
I love that. Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely what I'm gonna be picking up.
All right. Well, that is it for the news in our radar. We're going to get into the Q&A here in just a little bit. Before then, if you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and hit that follow button for us if you can. I'm looking in the wrong spot like always right here. Hit the follow button. It helps us out tremendously. We're on YouTube as well. Just search for this guy Archie or Media Hype Train. Give us a follow there. Subscribe. Whatever you want to do. Everything helps, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Geo Solo. So now let's get on to the boop 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 boop. There we go. I lost them. There we go again. Listener Q&A. So first question up comes from appropriate username. Says, should games with gambling, loot boxes, or gotchas be doing more to put up barriers for kids? Should games with kid-friendly graphics, visuals be prohibited from adding gambling-like elements? I felt it was appropriate given one of our stories today. So I'll let you start with this one, Steve.
Yeah, so a two-part question there. Should games with gambling be doing more to put up barriers for kids? I honestly can't say I know what barriers are up right now. So I'm a parent. I have a 4-year-old. She has an iPad. She can't download any games by herself. And there's some games where there are microtransactions, but I set up the parental controls and it's to the way like even if she wants to download something new, it sends me a notification before she can even download it. So at the consoles and PC all have those same type of features, like where you can't make a purchase without like parental consent. But I would say that there's not that much more that they really should have to do. I think the onus on that I really think comes down to the parents. Like like I said, being a parent myself, I rarely look at a company and say, "Oh man, you guys should do more to protect the kids." Like I really think parents need to do a better job of just knowing what their kids are into, like research. Like I remember talking to my sister about Fortnite when it first came out. She's got a kid. I want to say he's like 10 at this time, but
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking, and she, to her credit, she's a great mom, but she was very oblivious to like the game and stuff. And I was like, it's not a bad game. I'm like, the cool thing about it, you give them that one thing, and then they might want a couple bucks here and there to pick up stuff, but it's a game as a service. I had to kind of explain that to her because a lot of parents, they'll go pick something up and think, oh, I already bought this. Why are you coming to me for more money? So
Right.
that's really where it goes. Like parents need to educate themselves on what their kids are doing, and hopefully all that kind of works itself out. The second part, should games with kid-friendly graphics be prohibited from adding gambling elements? I say no because I can't think of one right now, but there's kiddie-like games that adults play. Breath of the Wild is a good example. Like the graphics for that definitely scream like, "Hey, this is for a child," but adults play it. And I'm sure there's other games, like that Fortnite. We have a lot of friends who used to play Fortnite very heavily, and yes, the graphics are kid-friendly, but it's also a adult-friendly game as well. I've put money into Fortnite before for stuff, so yeah, that's my answer. How about you?
So I'll take up the first part and say that I have a very similar situation with my sister that you do. My nephew is about 10 years old now, and about 2, maybe 3 years ago, she had the settings all set up. There was a card on there because it was on her Xbox, or it was on the Xbox, and uh he somehow managed to figure out the pin number and put about $1,000 worth of V-Bucks on her credit card. And it's one of those things that it is definitely up to the parents to understand. And I'll be the first to admit that she probably didn't do her due diligence at first, because it's a video game, you know, she's from a different era of video games. We used to play like old NES Tetris together, and that's about the extent of her gaming experience. So I don't blame her at all for that taking place, but it does bring up the whole, should games with kid friendly graphics visuals be prohibited from adding gambling elements? And I think that would be, I think I would reverse the question a little bit. I wouldn't say you would prohibit it from a game targeted towards children, but I would say that having any of these elements inside of your game immediately puts it in a different tier of the ESRB rating system. You know, in real life, you got to be 18 to gamble, no matter where you're at in the States. I think I might have just pulled that out of my ass, but I'm pretty confident it's like 18 or more. So with that, with the law in mind, if your game has gambling with real world currency in it, then it needs to be rated mature. Like, minimum viable rating needs to be mature. Not that it's going to stop parents from buying their kids games that are rated M for mature, that are meant for like 18 years and up, or 17 and up. But it's, you know, the industry has done what it can, and then it falls back on the parents' lap to do their due diligence, like you said, to make sure that their kids are at the very least being talked to about what's happening in their video games. I mean, you and we probably played Grand Theft Auto 2 when we were well under the M rating. So it's
Yeah.
it's one thing, but you know, we had parents that talked to us about those things after the fact, because gaming wasn't as big as it is now. So it's just, I agree with you. It falls back on the parents. It has to fall back on the parents. The industry should be responsible to a degree, but then at that point, it's a handoff. It should not be the sole responsibility of the developers.
Yep. I agree with that 100%.
All
So,
right, more fun question from lady_suffering. Can the soundtrack make or break an otherwise great game for you? Without it, would ambient noise alone be enough to create the right atmosphere? I would say that in a horror title, silence is absolutely the right atmosphere. I don't really need music for scary games, but in games that have that are more narrative centric, the soundtrack absolutely makes or breaks it for me. If you have just a weird soundtrack that does not make sense with your story, it doesn't bring you in to it a little bit more. I mean, it's definitely the delineation between a okay game and a great game. What about you?
I agree. The most recent example I could think of is Doom. Like, that is a game that definitely feels a lot better and a lot more energetic and hectic just because of the music. Like, I'm sure you are probably moving a little faster as well compared to other FPSs, but the music definitely helps bring that game to life. Definitely horror games. Even racing games too. Racing games, sim games. Like, I've noticed, like, playing flight sim a lot recently. Like, the engine sound and stuff like that. Like, you can definitely tell when it's off. Definitely tell when it's off. One of the things I'm excited to kind of get my hands on is the PS5, just so I can kind of see how that whole new immersive audio thing they have going on with the controller and everything is going. But
Right.
yeah, audio and sound definitely can change the whole appeal and feel of the game. That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a very good question. About the PS5 sound, so it's very much tied into the new haptics that are in the controller, that I don't know what they call it in this, but Returnal I just read an article on Returnal about how the audio is synced up to a very specific built pattern of vibration to simulate rain on your hands as you're holding it and hearing it
Oh,
at the
really?
same time. So it's like synced up to vibrate. And I say vibrate, but it's really just like micro pulses that help simulate rain in your hands. as well as you're hearing it at the same time. I was like, oh, that's next level stuff right there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's definitely next gen. So the next question up, speaking of next, by Agitated Show, says, here is my question. Today we watch so many gameplay trailers before trying the actual game out, and that spoils part of the fun. What games do you wish you could have played completely blind without knowing anything about their mechanics or story? What about you?
That's a good one. I would think probably the most recent example for me would be Death Stranding. There's a couple things that got spoiled online for me way before I played the game. Reason there being that if you kind of are familiar with the history, that it had its PS5 release, then it came out the PC about a year later. So by the time it came out, hey, thanks for the follow, L. By the time it came out to PC a year later, I'd already had a lot of the story or the story, a lot of the story spoiled for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a couple of gameplay mechanics that really, like, I think people talked way too much about the game up front, which, I can weigh that on both scales. Like, it is probably a good thing because people could have gone into that expecting an action adventure game, but also because they talk so much about the gameplay mechanics, there was no real big surprise for me whenever I finally did load it up. So that would be probably my biggest one. I'll do a little extra on this. If I could do like the Men in Black blinky blink thing and just go back and relive any game ever, it would probably be Mass Effect 2. Like if I could go back into that
Oh,
with
yeah.
completely blank memory and just take that from step one, that's probably the game I want to play the most over again, just because it has so many cool story beats, so many different twists and turns in that game, so many emotional, impactful moments.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah.
So I would say that just to stick with a recent game, I would pick Cyberpunk 2077 because it was almost impossible to escape the hype before the game launched. And then once it launched, it was almost impossible to escape the hate that it received. So you're really going in with bias no matter what side. It's either going to be you think this game is going to be great and you're disappointed, or you're going into it expecting to be disappointed and you're like, it's not that bad. So I think that would be a game because I personally feel like the hype was too much. I knew that there was no way that it was going to live up to the amount of hype that it received. And I think that was pretty much well believed by most, is that there's no way it's going to be that good. So I went in with that expectation and I was like, okay, it's not a bad game. It played well for me. I understand where the problems were in this, but in my personal experience on PC, I did not have nearly as many problems as people are reporting out there. So I would have loved to have gone into that game having no clue what was going on in the outside world for it, just so I could have kind of like an untainted view of the title itself. And then I'll follow up your Men in Black blinky thing. I think probably I don't know. It's a hard decision because I would have to pick Final Fantasy VII, like the original PlayStation 1 game. This remake is, we'll talk about that later. The remake is not my favorite right now. But yeah, that game it was probably one of my first like true game as an art experiences growing up. And I would love to relive that from the beginning of just like bloop it. I have no idea what games are. Just give me this and let me explore through this one more time. That would be a great experience, I think. Yeah, Geosoul says GTA really broke the mold on making soundtracks a more important focus for immersion and popularity. It is true because your soundtrack can easily be a marketing aspect of the game. It happens all the time since I think Grand Theft Auto 2 commercials were advertising their soundtrack for the game while advertising the game as well. So it worked out for them very well. And Ringo says Minecraft's original soundtrack is great, and I don't know why. And I agree because it is just the most simplest of chimes and lo-fi shenanigans in a soundtrack, and it just works. You're just like, all right, I'm gonna dig a hole straight down and fall in the lava. Why not? That was all the questions, though, Steve.
Woo, woo.
That's the three that we had picked out today. And did you want to move into video game 20 questions?
Oh, we got to pick the question of the week.
Oh,
So,
I picked last week. You picked this week.
I am going to go with the sound question.
Lady_suffering. That was their question, and I agree. That's a very good question. So we'll send you, or I don't know. You know the rules for that. It's on the Reddit.
Yep.
All right.
I'm ready for 20 questions. I'm ready.
20 questions. Let me get this countdown up here. And there it is. There you go. A little blurb about it. So this, for everybody that's ready, anyone who doesn't know, by the way, this is a video game 20 questions where one of us challenges the other. We give a little hint to what the video game is, and then they have 20 yes or no questions to figure out the game that the other has picked. This week, I am challenging Steve to figure out what game I am thinking of. So this 2008 platforming puzzle adventure featuring a new lead character went on to produce 2 sequels, 2 handheld titles, and 5 spin-off titles. While the game was known for its compelling offline narrative, the online experience is where later games strongly emphasized. Coming out of a 5+ year hiatus, the series saw its latest release in 2020, where the main character set off on a big adventure. Whenever you're ready.
2008 platformer. Is this exclusive? No, wait, let me not ask that. Is this a Nintendo title?
It is not.
Okay. Is this title associated with Sony or kind of strongly linked to Sony?
Yes.
Is it in the Little Big Planet universe?
Yes.
That doesn't help me at all because I don't know what the hell
I mean,
the latest Little Big Planet game was.
no, you're not looking for the latest. You're looking for the original.
Is it Little Big Planet?
It is
remastered.
It is Little Big Planet. How the heck did you guess that so easily?
2008 platformer. Nintendo would be the first go-to for platformers. Xbox really doesn't have any that I could think of off the top of my head. I guess Ukulele could kind of be up there. So once I thought platformer,
yeah,
that little sack boy, it's got to be Little Big Planet. It's got to be.
I picked it thinking for sure that there was no way. And
actually, I used to be a huge Little Big Planet fan.
Me too. I really enjoyed that game, especially the online stuff where people were just making. You know, it was before Mario Maker, so it was a fun time online. I even snuck in the title to the most recent game, A Big Adventure. It's literally called Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which I hate that name. I hate that name so much.
I haven't honestly I only ever played one. Like I only played Little Big Planet 1, and I wasn't a like I never got into the creation stuff. I used to like to download people's stuff and play it, but I never liked making stuff myself. Like it was just too convoluted. But that's a good pick, man. That was a fun game back in the day.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I played one because I think it came with my PS3 bundle that I had. And then I played 2 whenever that came out, and that was the one that really pushed the online sharing of different worlds and levels and whatnot. And that's the one I played all the online levels that I could find. Just all of them were fun. Every once in a while, you got a couple trolls in there that are just like, it's a murder box, and that was the extent of the level. But yeah, it's probably one of the first. I don't know. Would you say that would be considered one of the first games like that where you can build your own world? And I mean, you know,
in terms
excluding
of
racing games,
probably.
yeah.
In terms of platformer, probably. But I remember back in the old days when I had an old Windows PC, like I think it was called RPG Maker or something like that. So I remember that. Racing games, obviously another one where people make their own stuff all the time. A lot of the old FPS games like Quake Arena and all that, you can make your own. But yeah, in terms of platforms, I think that's probably one of the few. I can't really think of too many other ones
RPG
at all.
Maker is on like rendition 15 or something right now. It's ridiculous.
Where is this? Is it still sprite work or is it in 3D now? I wonder.
I think it's oh, excuse me. I had a hiccup there for a second. I think it's still in sprite work. Let me see real
Yeah,
quick. RPG Maker. Oh,
yeah. Me and my brother
they've gone
used to
off the
play that.
wall. It's like RPG Maker MV or MZ. I don't I don't know what that's all about. But
Gotcha.
let's
Yeah.
see.
Thomas in chat said to be back in 2008. If I'm correct, was it 2007 or 2008 that was like the best year in gaming ever, which was like the year Mass Effect first came out. Like I think it was when the 360 really hit a stride and they had like that huge year of releases.
I think it was 2000. Let's see. Mass Effect 1 came out
I
on
was googling best year in gaming,
yeah,
and they
just
say
best year in gaming.
2007. Yeah.
Uh
A lot of people say 2007. Key
I
releases
believe it.
being Orange Box, BioShock, Call of Duty 4, Crisis, Call of Duty World in Conflict, Supreme Commander, Unreal Tournament 3. There's a lot, and this is just for PC gamer.
Supreme
So
Commander was pretty fun. I remember playing that
yeah,
one on PC
yeah,
though.
good stuff. So what were you in last week playing, buddy?
So let me get this counter off. Last week I played a ton of Pokemon Snap. Our buddy Thomas got me a
Good
gift
guy.
card, good stuff. Went ahead and picked it up and just for hours on end for probably the following uh 2 to 3 days, I think. I just grinded away at Pokemon Snap. It's just such a fun game. I have a couple more 4-star versions of pictures that I need to get, but I think I'm pretty close to the being done with it. I don't think I've hit the end of the narrative though, because I'm definitely a perfectionist in this type of game where it's just like, oh, let me go back and replay this mission several hundred times. And I do feel like there is a good mechanism in place for the replayability because there's a ton going on. In the N64 one, there was really only ever like one trail of thought uh in each one, unless there was like a hidden something happening off in the distance somewhere that you had to get a picture of. But in this one, there's like you're just driving through these environments and things are happening all over the place. So it kind of does reward you to go back to go, oh, that happened over there. Let me go over there. Um, did you end up picking up Pokemon Snap?
I did. So I haven't played as much of it as you have. Probably only about an hour, but I liked what I played.
Mm-hmm.
The I won't say the struggle for me, but the yeah, I'll say the struggle. The struggle for me is I really want to play with my daughter, so I have to make sure she
Right.
has the kind of the what's the attention span to sit down and want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually got it about 30 minutes in today, but yeah, that's my whole plan with that is I'm gonna try to play with her as much as possible. Just because for me, I'm going in completely blind. Like I think you've still kind of been in that ecosystem of knowing at least maybe a generation or two behind, if not
Right.
completely up to date on everything. And I'm so far behind. Even when I played what was the last one that came out for Switch? The one that I
Sword and
took I
Shield.
like a lot. Yeah, even when Sword and Shield came out, like I was completely lost. But yeah, so I'm excited to keep playing that.
Yep. And then I think I played a little bit of the new season of Destiny. I really liked it as well, so I'll probably be spending more time of that this week because I think Vault of Glass, the old Destiny 1 raid, comes out like either this weekend or maybe next weekend. I think it's this weekend or either Tuesday, maybe this coming Tuesday. So I
May 22nd.
May 22nd. Oh, so like Saturday.
Wait, that
What a
can't be
weird,
right.
yeah, what a
They would
weird,
never do that on Saturday. Actually, it does say May 22nd. That's weird. I've never seen them do a
yeah,
release
because their
over the
cycle is
weekend.
like on Tuesdays, but they do releases on Thursdays sometimes. So I don't know.
Oh, I wonder why. Yeah, it says Tuesday, or I'm sorry, May 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I wonder why. Maybe it's because they're doing maybe that's what
They're
they do now
doing
for the
world
raids.
firsts and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure, I don't know why you would do it on the weekend. I would probably try to do that during the workday so you can make sure everybody's up to manage the servers and all that. But
Right.
yeah. And anyone who beats Vault of Glass in the first 24 hours will get a special bonus. Huh. Are we gonna go for this? Maybe
Let's go
the
for it.
20. Oh
I'm
man,
I'm down if you are.
that's this Saturday. Yeah, I mean, like I remember the mechanics. The mechanics aren't that difficult.
No,
Are they
and it's
are they changing up anything or?
from everything that I've read on it, it does not seem they've been kind of hush hush on it. Other than that, the Vault of Glass returns, but just the way that they're phrasing it seems like it's just slightly rebalanced for today's modern Destiny.
Yeah. Man, these the weapons look nice. I didn't realize that they got a facelift on a lot of the textures and stuff, but yeah, these weapons look great.
Yep. And
Interesting.
there's a new cosmetic setup as well, like cosmetic thing. It's a little, I don't know, convoluted. I haven't really quite figured it out completely, but it seems pretty easy enough to me. So
Hmm, good stuff.
good content.
Yeah, other than that, like I said, so for me this week, Days Gone is coming out tonight. So I don't know if I'm going to stay up to play that or not. It comes out at midnight. I think I actually will. Maybe I'll get an hour or two into it.
Right.
I'm off again tomorrow, and then I go back to work on Wednesday. Like I said, took a little staycation for work. But that comes out. I feel like there's one other thing. Yep, Elite Dangerous's update comes out on Thursday. That one isn't so much one that I need to rush to get into. You've kind of played Elite, so now you kind of understand how that whole cycle goes. Like
Yep.
the world would keep moving even if I'm not playing, but I'm not missing out on anything per se. Like you can
Right.
pretty much drop back in at any point and just continue on with whatever you're doing. So that's probably how I'll do that because even though they have added the on foot stuff, there wasn't too much that I was like, man, I really got to start doing that immediately. I'm gonna kind of get my bearings on it, the new UI and all that, but I'm gonna try to beat Days Gone. Tom and chat, how long is Days Gone going to run me in terms of time to beat? He'll answer that. But so you're gonna continue with Pokemon Snap. What else for you this week? Destiny,
That
you said.
Destiny. I'll probably play a little bit more Elite Dangerous. I just got a new ship, the Imperial Clipper, and that thing is a unit and a half. I love it so much. It turns, which is the biggest issue I had with the Type 6 that I was running. Um Tom says long time.
Yeah,
It's a long game.
yeah. I looked
It,
up real quick. They said about 30 hours at minimum.
whew,
But on ED, yeah, the Clippers are a great ship. I love. I'm so glad that you've kind of gotten into that and kind of picked up the little intricacies of the game and everything, or the sim, whatever you want to call it. But that's probably one of the coolest things is that all the ships have their own personality and really
right.
have a type fit for what you should be doing with it.
Yeah, because I also bought a ship specifically in my area that is just for like running bounties. Just
Oh, nice.
it's built to blow up things and not really carry anything. So
Yeah.
I like that. Thanks, Zycnet. Appreciate you for being here.
Ringo said he could not get into Elite, which I think a lot of people
I
have that at
understand.
first.
Yep.
I was one of those people. I couldn't get into it the first time I loaded it, but I kind of had a similar experience with that and The Witcher, where those games both have so much that you can do. Like when you kind of first load in, you're kind of overwhelmed, but you can also find a way to play them simple. Like if you want to play Witcher, just hack and slash, run around doing shit, you could do that. But it really you have that surface level of how you can play casually, but then underneath that, there's so much detail you can go into with min max and all that. So that's really where I think the grips of Elite come in. And then also it depends on when you try to play, because there was a time probably right after release where it was bare bones, but they've added so much stuff since then. Like when I load in now, I usually, I'm 2 hours in, I'm like, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta take myself out of playing because I'll get on the stretch and just do a bunch of missions in a row and
Hmm.
kind of flip flop between doing this and yeah.
Yeah, like I grinded away to get the Imperial rank up to like bear. I think I'm a Baron right now.
I was
Um,
surprised by how quickly you got that, by the way.
oh yeah, I found I so one of the things I've been like noting, and this is why I'm not allowed to play sim games very often because I just go full ham. I have like a notebook with notes of like different star systems and what's good in there and what's about. I could Google, but for me, part of this game is that whole like reality shift sim. Like I'm in here. I'm gonna play because I don't understand how to fight in this game yet. I'm just gonna be a space road trucker, and that's what I did for a while. And then I came across a system that had a ton of easy missions to do, and I was like, oh, if I do this, then I can do that, then I can do that, and so I just did it. And then I learned other things along the road, and now I'm flying in an Imperial Clipper, taking out pirates and stealing their stuff back. So
So you have so you've got into the combat now. How do you like that?
I like it. It's still a little confusing because the ship that I'm running for specifically for combat still only has 2 hard points. So I'm still kind of learning that, and I think I need to upgrade my power distributor, whatever it's called in there, because my weapons overheat super fast, and I don't really
Gotcha.
have good ammo for my kinetic gun on there either. But it's one of those things that I was very much on the same page as you, Ringo. It was very daunting in the beginning, and I was like, maybe I just, because it's not a handholdy game either, and this is a game that could have been handholdy, and I would have been
Yeah.
appreciative of it because they're just like, here's how to fly, have fun, bye,
Yeah.
and you got to figure out, the world around you. And I partially kind of am glad that they didn't, because then I learned more about the world around me like it wanted you to. So learn how to fly, and there's all these different systems. I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of these things, so I'm just gonna fly. And what's the easiest thing to do when you're flying? Just take stuff from point A to point B. And that's what I
Yeah.
did. Took stuff from point A to point B, and then along the way, I'm like, oh, I'm getting attacked. Let me figure out how to destroy this other ship. And just then you learn combat, and you're like, oh, well, what's the best way of doing this? And it's just like you just pick up on the little pieces over time. Like, I'm not rushing myself to figure out this game in its entirety, and I feel like that's where most of the fun is just me being able to just pick up the game, throw on my VR headset if I wanted to, and just escape from reality for a little bit and just go in there and have fun.
Yeah, that is the best way because then you've got so many more layers you can dig into over time, So eventually you're like, oh, I do want to learn about engineering and all of that. The only advice I would give you is don't engineer until you've gotten to the level where you're like, these are my forever ships.
Right.
Like, you're still in transition right now. You're still trying to get up to the bigger ships you want. So don't waste your engineering materials on those because that's probably the biggest grind. Like you can go out and do the stuff that you did pretty easily. With the time investment in it, like, hey, you can grind for money and all that, but the engineering stuff, like, it's the intersection of your time and also the luck of what you're gonna find when you're out doing that. So
Right.
that stuff, I would say, just save for the later time.
Yeah,
But
like
that than
80 hours later, I just learned how to use the cargo scoop.
oh my god, it's a fun game though, man.
It is
And
fun.
man,
I appreciated it.
I think it's going to get a lot better too with the on foot stuff. I think that'll start bringing more of the community things into it.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing about it though is, man, like we have the 2 channels in our Discord for Elite and Star Citizen. And I'm just looking at the tweets going back and forth between the two of them. Like it is so obvious to me that Star Citizen is really expediting development now because they're trying to keep up with Elite. Like this is the one thing that they've held over them for so long was that, oh well, they don't have any on foot stuff, but now they've done the on foot stuff. Like now Star Citizen, they're like rapidly putting shit out. Like so it's cool. Ringo literally just asked about that in the same time. Yes, Ringo. I used to be a very big advocate for Star Citizen. I think if I look on my referral links, like I've got something like 450 people who've purchased based off my referral links. When I used to be a big content creator for them on YouTube, and it was my go-to space game for a long time. But recently, Elite has definitely taken the lead for me just because it is so much more polished and developed. Like Star Citizen has a ton more ideas and a lot more creative stuff and all these cool little nitbits of stuff that they're doing. But Elite, in terms of like a finished product, they have a better package right now. It'd be like
Right.
if I had 2 friends and if I had a friend, I had to give them a birthday present, and the option was giving them Star Citizen in a box or giving them Elite in a box, I would give them Elite because, hey, you can go out and play this, no funneling around. Whereas giving somebody a box of Star Citizen is like, yeah, you're gonna have a rough time with this. Like, it'd be fun when you can actually get it to work, but all those other times where you can't get it to work are gonna be very frustrating.
Right.
So if you're willing to be a beta tester or alpha tester, like Star Citizen, whatever I just said there. Jesus. Star Citizen is great. Like they take feedback very well. They implement things. I won't say fairly quickly, but they implement a lot of ideas that the fans give them. But it's definitely a work in progress. And right now, when I have limited time to play, I don't want to play a work in progress for a space game because stuff is so far away. Like it takes forever. Like you know how Elite is. I remember you telling me the story of showing your wife, here you are on the map and here's the other side of the galaxy. Like that's a lot of time that you could
There's
spend in these
density.
games.
Yeah, it's got a lot of
Yes.
density to it.
Yeah, so you want something, and that's the biggest thing. I said it even a couple minutes ago when we were talking. That's the best thing about Elite is that you could jump in at any point, and you don't ever feel like you're behind or anything like that. Like you might have to get your muscle memory back for controls and stuff,
Hmm.
but in terms of the world moving on without you and all that kind of stuff, like no, you make your own little, uh, for pun intended, you make your own little space in the galaxy, and you do what you want. You know, so yeah. But hey, it's been a great episode, man. I'm looking
Great
forward to
episode.
playing with you here soon. Thank you guys for checking in with us. Anybody who's here for Reddit, really appreciate you guys submitting your questions and helping us
Absolutely.
out with the Q&A section. And we'll be back here, same time, same place next week, 7 p.m. Eastern time, every Monday.
Every single Monday, 7 Eastern time, we will be here unless
Yep.
something happens, but we'll be here anyways. So
Yep. And if you came in late or you wanted to start from I can't talk tonight. If you came in late or want to start from the top, you can see the episode again tomorrow
yep.
on Archie's YouTube page.
Yep. Look for this guy Archie. It's normally up by around 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks, Elucho9. Appreciate you being here. And you as well, Zach. Appreciate
Thank
everybody
you.
being here. Ringo, Tom, everybody. Who's Geo Solo was earlier. Appreciate you being here as well. That's it for Midlife Gaming Podcast today. Thank you all again. Follow, like, subscribe, do all the things. It helps us out tremendously. Appreciate you all. Love you. Have a good night.
See you next week.
Adios.
Boop.